Welcome to Myopia Movies. This week, in honor of the retirement from acting of Bruce Willis, we are covering one of his more unusual movies, Hudson Hawk. Now, I know it's kind of standard fare to kick this movie around. It was over budget and not particularly well received at the time, but we had a lot of fun with it. The reason, of course, we picked it is when you think of Bruce Willis, you think of a strong chin, tough guy with barely a quip among him. But here he's yucking it up, and it's a silly movie, but it's a lot of fun. So enjoy. Thanks for those of you who are listening, sharing, and subscribing. We appreciate the reviews and anything you can give us. Bye, guys.
Welcome to Myopia Movies. This week we're talking Hudson Hawk, a movie so Bruce Willis, only Bruce Willis could make it. Mm-hmm. I'm your host, Nick Hoffman, and Riffer on Cineprov, which hopefully by now we're back live, though I've been saying that for 9 months, so who knows?
Tis life.
Tis life. What panel we got?
Nora Chernette.
Hello, this is Daniel, a contributor to popdose.com, and 9 Inch Nails is closer, 6 minutes, 15 seconds.
What?
I am author Matthew W. Quinn, who has never been honey trapped by a nun.
Oh, where? Oh.
You haven't?
I see what you did there.
Oh, you're missing out.
Yeah,
you are
man.
Missing out.
It reminds me of the time that some Jehovah's Witness people came to my door, and I was like trying to flirt with them, but it didn't work out.
See, when I had a Jehovah's Witness come to my door, they were just already topless.
Where do you live?
What do you
Wouldn't
think
you
of
like to know?
Jehovah's Witness? All right. So, in honor of his unfortunate retiring from acting, we decided to do a Bruce Willis movie, and so we went to what he would consider his favorite movie, Hudson Hawk. I once heard an interview with him where he was trying to explain why everyone loved Die Hard, and they thought everyone liked it because they liked a snarky New Jersey guy who was out of place.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie too. Yeah.
I don't know why he thought that this was the way to go.
I thought it was more of a Moonlight thing where he wanted to showcase the fact that, hey, initially I was in comedy.
Oh, I think that's what it is. I'm just saying that this comes out in 1991.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 91.
91. And as we were talking, God even knows how we got to this point, but Bruce Willis had hit a bit of a dry patch. His 88 is Die Hard, and that's the biggest movie in the country. And that was back when having an R-rated #1 movie was still possible.
Excuse you, you said he hit a dry patch. I'll beg you not to describe Demi Moore that way.
Damn.
But in 89, he did Look Who's Talking, and the sequel for Die Hard, of course.
Do you count that because it was just a voice for Look Who's Talking? He didn't
Yeah,
put
but it was
any
still
acting into it.
But it was a big movie.
Yeah, it was.
Okay, I got you.
But then Bonfire of the Vanities was a disaster, and this was a disaster. This made 18 million, something like that, and it cost 70. It was a huge disaster.
Well, to my understanding, people didn't know it was going to be as slapstick as it was, because if I'm not mistaken, it was marketed as an action movie, but then people kind of was like, why the fuck is he in a highway on a gurney throwing exact change on a toll booth,
Well, I mean, that scene, we will spend some time talking about
I like that scene.
It goes on for 7 minutes, though.
It does.
I mean, I will say, though, this is also a good year for him, because I like Last Boy Scout. It's nuts, but it's him doing action, which he's good at, and Damon Wayans is funny. Yep. And then the next year, he's in The Player, which I also very much like.
Which one was The Player?
Oh, the Robert Altman movie?
Yeah, the Tim Robbins is the star of it, but he's good at it. Anyway, so we decided to talk about this incredibly bizarre musical comedy where...
Musical comedy. Let's just let that sink in. This is a Bruce Willis musical comedy.
Was it considered a musical? I mean, they sang songs, but that was just they didn't break.
I always heard it was a musical, but there's only 2 songs.
I mean, it's not. Well, it's like how the Golden Globes or the Emmys they categorize.
Yes.
It's like it was best actor in a music / comedy. I was like, dude, just separate them. It was just like.
But you're right, though. That's what it stinks of. It's like, well, this is a musical and a comedy, so it's both things.
Right.
It was categorized like that, but trust me, this was not nominated for Golden Globes.
It did win several Razzies, though.
Oh,
so
sure.
many Razzies, it becomes transcendent.
It won 3, including Worst Picture. Overseas, it did a little bit better. I think it made back its money internationally, but it probably still lost on advertising, if I had to guess.
I can see that.
Everything in this makes no sense from the run. So, I mean, we should talk about the cold open. Smash cut to Renaissance France.
It opens like The Princess Bride. It's somebody
Yeah.
reading a storybook to us.
Yeah, it's like the Princess Bride, Leonardo da Vinci, and there's someone doing a voiceover. And
Was it France?
Italy.
Well,
There's a scene where he thought he was
and Da Vinci's castle is actually in France. The one that they showed
Right.
is Da Vinci's real castle. It's in a city
France.
called Chenonceau, which is in the south of France. It's in wine country.
Okay.
But they put it in Italy because no one did any research on anything, which is why everything Da Vinci has ever invented is happening in the Q branch that is his basement.
Wow.
You know, this entire scene, I kept expecting Mel Brooks to jump out and just start going, The Inquisition, what a show, and better movie.
And the thing about this is, if Bruce Willis was playing his straight-laced, stiff upper lip, sarcastic character, the movie's better.
I can see that.
Because then it's Leslie Nielsen in a Naked Gun movie. There's crazy shit happening around him, and he's down to earth.
This is
You know what I
why.
mean? There's no straight man in this movie.
So this is why, actually, I think from the movie he did, Whole 9 Yards with Matthew Perry, I think that is a comedy movie, but he does play the straight character. But I think he probably learned from the Hudson Hawk, saying, "Oh, don't lean into being silly," you know.
Well, but I mean, let's talk about at least my favorite movie of his in the last decade is Moonrise Kingdom. And
Oh, yeah, the Wes Anderson movie.
because Wes Anderson is almost a fantasy comedy, and he plays the stiff upper lip, like ranger type guy, and it works because he's the one real person in this movie that's very bizarre, right? And that's where he's good.
In this case, there are no real people. They're all just caricatures.
Like the CIA agents, who are Snickers, Kit Kat, Almond Joy, and Butterfingers.
Oh,
And a guy who
Butterfinger.
complains about how he used to get laid all the time.
Yeah, James Coburn's in this as George Kaplan.
It was that one girl actually? Before it was candy bars, it was
Chlamydia.
Chlamydia.
Oh, it was diseases.
It was like, do you mind your heart is going around? People yelling chlamydia at you. No, that's
Well, if you're
funny.
Kim Kardashian, yes.
Roast.
Rose.
So we open up in France.
We open up at Da Vinci's castle, and Da Vinci is testing everything at once. And we're told, I mean, what kind of is a true story, he was supposed to design this giant bronze horse, but war was declared, and so
War were declared.
and so there was a bronze.
Isn't he doing Wilford Brimley?
No,
No.
he's doing a Futurama riff.
Oh.
And he's doing this thing where he's trying to turn lead into bronze to make this giant horse. That part's not true. But he was supposed to make a giant horse, and you can still see the models of it floating around. This happens. Turns out he makes gold. Wouldn't you know it? Only Da Vinci could be so smart he does a mistake, like accidentally making gold instead of bronze.
And then he promptly breaks down his machine and hides everything.
We also get a gag with the Mona Lisa having a really ugly smile, so he has to improvise.
Yeah, the whole painting is painted except for a white mark over her face, right? We also have him inventing the hang glider at the same time. I mean, like I said, it's a Q branch scene where he's just walking through going like, yeah, just strap the prick to the thing. And he goes,
Was Da Vinci on drugs?
I mean, back then, I'm sure they were just out of their mind all the time.
I got you.
I mean, it was easier and more healthy to drink beer than it was water.
That's
So.
very true.
Oh, I mean,
true.
he had a good wine drunk going the whole time.
Oh, yeah.
And again, it's so funny because we have this like quirky little narrator up top talking about Da Vinci was inventing all this stuff. And it's like the beginning of Super Mario Brothers or something.
I got Princess Bride vibes.
Of
but
course.
yeah,
It wasn't Peter Falk. Who did the narration? Does anyone know?
Fred Savage. Okay.
It might have been.
I honestly have no idea. They don't even mention this part on the Wikipedia synopsis.
Oh
We need to spend time on it because otherwise it'll be lost to the tracks of time since no one's going to see this movie.
It's a cult classic.
I'll give it cult classic.
Emphasis on cult.
Cult, basically.
There was a joke, and this is so stupid out of nowhere, but Mad Magazine was making fun of Columbia Moving House, which you have no idea. There used to be a DVD club called Columbia Moving
It was
Club.
CD Club first.
And then a VHS club, and then a DVD club. And you'd get like 10 movies for a penny each plus shipping, and then you had to buy like 10 at full price over the rest of the year or something like that. Nonsense. Utter nonsense. But they just called it the Hudson Hawk Movie Club.
Oh, I remember those catalogs. Boy.
But anyway, so yeah, we have this narration, and then it smashes us to the modern day, where...
Can we also just go ahead and mention the people who made this, like, behind the scenes, is the team from Heathers. It's the screenwriter from Heathers and the director of Heathers.
What's Heathers?
Heathers is a Rodney movie. Or am I thinking of something else? I'm thinking of Ladybugs.
Yeah, Heathers is that movie with Winona Ryder and Christian Slater in it. It was a high school movie from 1989.
I got you.
Daniel Waters wrote it. Michael Lehman directed it. And that's who wrote and directed this movie.
It's very coming of age.
Well, there's no comedy here.
That's the point. Heathers was funny.
Yeah.
That's the movie that introduced the phrase "fuck me gently with a chainsaw" into the lexicon.
What is that a phrase you
I was going
use
to say,
regularly?
you have a very different lexicon than I do. I don't
You are
know.
missing out.
You go to the wrong parts of Atlanta. Okay, I see you.
That's right.
Yeah, Daniel's a regular at the Chamber.
That's more of a West Atlanta.
That's not East Atlanta.
We lost track of Daniel once. We found him at the Chamber.
Yeah, if you go up 400 past Roswell, that's the shit they do. I assume. I don't know. Fuck me gently with a chainsaw. You know, chainsaw.
Girl.
Anyways,
I mean,
so
that's a shame.
so after France,
No, I looked up the Chamber. Apparently it's closed, according to ClubPlanet.com.
oh damn.
I just remember people making jokes at the Chamber when I was in high school. It's maybe a little dated.
I was about to say, how do you know about the Chamber?
The DJ at Masquerade Club Fetish. Oh my.
You know,
my.
yeah, since we on this off topic, I had a very extensive talk with my doctor about these hidden gay clubs in Atlanta. But he says him and his wife just rose up to it, and sometimes they just like, "Hey, you want to join?" And they were like, "No, thank you, we're just here."
Well, speaking of gay clubs, quick plug for Candace Waslowski doing trivia at the Felix Gay Bar in East Atlanta.
Yeah.
Apparently, it's quite good.
I thought I was under the impression the Chamber was an S&M club.
Oh, it is. Was R.I.P. the
Is that
Chamber.
something that we don't know about?
No, like I said, it closed in 1998. So
I'm sure there's a Facebook group. We should probably keep talking about this movie.
hashtag bring back the Chamber.
I mean, I don't know these places you speak of.
No, I have no idea. Apparently, Matt knows. Matt and Mr. Google. So we'll just have to tag it to his Facebook wall to see what he has to say. Anyway. Bruce Willis is getting out of jail dressed like he's a rejected blues brother.
Exactly. I mean, this is exactly the jail scene at the start of the Blues Brothers.
Good movie. Good movie.
And his parole officer tries to blackmail him into committing crimes.
Right. Immediately, there's a job that has to do with the Deus Ex Mafia here. Again, it's a Baldwin-based mafia, so you know you're in trouble already. But he does a little sleight of hand. Steals the guy's keys, handcuffs him to the gate, and in waltzes Danny Aiello. Now, for those of you who don't, well, I mean, he's really big in Spike Lee movies.
He's like an Alec Baldwin lookalike.
You think?
Something about his face and hair.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, Danny Aiello is a phenomenal actor, but he's a big boson, like Italian cartoon character, and this he is too.
Yeah.
What does he greet Bruce Willis with but a cappuccino? And then a
That's
bunch.
that's a running gag right there.
That is a running gag. I don't know if I'd say it was funny. It's something.
It's like Woody Harrelson and his Twinkies in Zombieland.
Well, it's like Big Lebowski with his rug, man.
Yeah.
Because like literally, then they go to a bar and he's holding his he finally is gonna get his fucking cappuccino and it gets shot out in front of him, and it's.
Who shot the cappuccino?
The Mario Brothers. I am not making that up.
No, you're not.
No, you're not.
No.
God, and again, here's the thing. This is clearly a Bruce Willis. I'm the greatest actor of this generation because the 80s action movies, I literally was going to say died hard. And this is now the 90s. And 90s, you need a little bit more pizzazz. I get it.
You gotta redefine
But
yourself.
you need to let someone in charge of the movie other than your ego. Because this could have been funny, and he's just playing it for nothing.
Now, he has an obsession with pop music. That's the whole thing.
Well, specifically the Great American Songbook, because these are Bing Crosby songs.
Yeah, pop music from maybe when he went to jail.
Well,
No.
then how does he know what Xanadu
Well, a
is?
form of dyslexia could be. Well, that's why he knows minute by minute each song.
I mean, here's the thing. This movie has Tim Burton syndrome, where you don't know what decade it is because something happens from 1995, and then all of a sudden he's listening to music exclusively from the 60s.
Yeah, but Tim Burton was smart and actually used that to mean something.
But here's the thing. You know what I'm talking about because everyone did it wrong after him, right? Because Batman 89 does that perfectly, where you're like, is this the 40s? Is this 1989? Who knows? It's all kind of mixed together in a Tim Burton nightmare. This is everything wrong, because the club that they're in looks like it could be in Goodfellas in one of the scenes from the 70s, where everyone's doing blow, there's fur on things for no reason, it's both red, blue, and pink in this
Oh,
damn
is that
club.
why we
And
get
there's
a
a
Johnny?
cappuccino machine.
Is that why we get a Johnny Two Times cameo?
This movie is infuriating, and yet it's kind of a masterpiece. I don't know. I might end up deciding I love this movie.
No, I'm
mean-
gonna have to go ahead and disagree with you.
Danny
We have
Aiello.
such
It's just
sights
movies
to
that you
show
love to hate.
you.
That's the thing. It's you love to hate.
But here's the thing, like, I don't even know what to do with it then. Because, like, if I were to say, all right, guys, we're going to get some cold ones and watch a movie that doesn't make sense, this wouldn't be that movie.
It'd be
If-
The Room.
If we were a comedy group that did, like, riffing like I do with Cineprop, it wouldn't be this movie. I don't know who this is for, and yet I can't look away. I've never been more enthralled and confused at the same time.
It's an action movie that wants to be a comedy, but at the same time, it's a slapstick that doesn't hit.
This movie could have been PG and gotten maybe kids in if it weren't for so much cursing.
So
I
if
can
the-
see that because of the candy bars.
I think, in fact, I would agree with you 100%, which is why there's cursing. I think he thought he was making a Zucker Abrams Zucker style hilarious comedy, but he was wrong. And people are like, you know, if you took out like, if you cleaned up this language, there's nothing inappropriate about it. There's not like a weird sex scene. There's no real nudity.
I mean, the dog was just going out of his
Oh,
balls.
dude,
No.
we could talk about that for years. Well,
Because-
someone's one perfect shot, right? Like
Yeah.
Benji the Hunted, right there was going at his balls,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Give it the
give
let
it
him
2
stay.
minutes."
Yeah, give 2 minutes. I was close.
Anyways,
That dog is one of the few funny things in this
actually,
movie.
the dog actually is my favorite part. From
The dog actor
from the ending
had his own
and
trailer.
No, basically, wow, look at the artist, the movie, the dog.
Also, we can't overestimate how stupid everything is.
Yeah.
Sandra Bernhardt and her brother Richard E. Grant played Darwin and Minerva Mayflower. And
So were they
Wait,
brother
their-
and
their
sister?
real siblings were playing spouses.
they might be spouses. I don't know. We have no idea.
Yeah,
I'm looking
I
this
didn't
up.
know if that was his sister or his mistress or what.
But if you were trying to tell me that was the joke, that they were brother and sister, but they were in love with each other, I believe
yeah,
that was the joke.
yeah.
But no one explains anything. It's just Sandra Bernhardt being Sandra Bernhardt, which is why you hire Sandra Bernhardt. Big, toothy, and loud. But she's acting against Richard E. Grant, a man that would give the Grim Reaper nightmares. Doing comedy. Dude, it's... Who's the fucker who played Sound of Water?
Shape of Water?
Shape of Water.
Oh, Camilo del Toro. Oh no, the dude,
The thin guy.
Oh,
Doug
Doug
Jones.
Jones.
Doug Jones has more subtlety than Richard E. Grant in this movie. Right? It's the same character, slender, like a fat, over the top, but Richard E. Grant then gives you those looks that would steal your soul. And that's something. Noah, do you want to give us a plot synopsis of this movie?
I think we were already like a third
I
of
mean,
the way
wait,
through
there's
this
no-
movie.
But that's just it. We've talked about the first 10 minutes.
I mean, which is the best part of the movie. But no, I guess I can say for plot synopsis. So we do have this guy named Hudson Hawk who is leaving jail, who wants to only drink his cappuccino and just, live his life. But they just keep pulling him back. That's my favorite Pacino line. So they just keep
Just
pulling
when I
me
think
back.
I'm out, they pull me
Pulling
back in.
And just like, and not even the moment, like you said, the dirty cop at the beginning of the movie, just wanted him to do a job, but it was a job it was a job that was set up by the mafia, but was set up by these rich billionaires that just, I'm pretty sure they fuck each other, because there was that weird slideshow scene where they were just, with the, it was weird enough. We're talking about this shit where a hidden what's it called?
S&M.
See, I don't do that shit. Clubs in Atlanta.
Hidden SNL Club that you've had, sketch comedy.
Right.
If you pay enough, Leslie Jones will spank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Could
yes.
you imagine?
No. So, anyways, so this movie is just basically his, somehow this is the thing that really fucked me up with this movie. They had to tie in the Da Vinci shit to him, but essentially it's getting the missing pieces for this old Da Vinci device that turns bronze into gold, in which these two incest billionaire kids want to rule the world, because what do you do after you make your billion? You rule the world
By somehow collapsing the price of gold.
Yeah, which I mean, I don't know. I'm not rich. I don't know what rich people do. Like they can change the price of orange juice, and that could crash the market for whatever reasons. That was the whole scene from Trading Places that I remember. But yeah, so basically, he's actually a pretty good. How would you say? What's the word? Cat burglar, thief.
Cat burglar is what it's referred to as.
Oh, cat burglar. Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
we'll get into this. This is where most of the songs come in.
Yeah,
He
because
wears sneakers for sneaking.
And but yeah, I mean, Nor gets it. It's a race against, and I mentioned already the CIA shows up.
Mhm.
So we have the Mayflowers, we have the CIA, we have the Mafia, and they're all trying to collect the gems from inside the gold making machine to arrange them together in order to
make a cube, big
I'm so
Rubik's
glad
cube type deal.
Yeah.
That makes gold.
I'm so glad that you finally told us their last names. Mayflower beckons you to enter the web of sin.
And then also we have Hudson Hawk's love interest, Anna. I want to say her
Andy McDowell.
Annie McDowell, but her name in the movie is called Anna Bargley. That works for the church, which has a weird like CIA type vibe, because the funniest thing is when she's talking to the crucifix of Jesus, and I'm thinking like, this is some Power Rangers.
But yes, that is a naked gun bit.
Exactly.
Right, but speaking of Mel Brooks earlier, a Get Smart kind of joke, where you have the phone in the shoe, you have the phone in the cross, It'd be even better if she had around your neck, just a gaudy. Well, if she had a gaudy crucifix that was a small travel mic, right?
Type Flavor Flav type cloth. Yeah, I got you.
Right,
I'm suddenly just picturing her pulling out a rosary and then pulling out an antenna from the crucifix and talking into it.
See, that would have been funny, but they don't. They
don't do that.
They took so there wasn't anything outlandish. You know what I mean? It's like the first thing that comes to my head is the movie Scary Movie 3, where I think they were spoofing signs, and the police officer went to Charlie Sheen's house, and slowly but surely you could see this police officer's hat getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And there wasn't that type of shit where it just made fun of itself or just made that something too extreme in this movie. And I felt like that could, we can all go left and right on how this movie could have been great, but we can pick and choose. But it was a movie that took itself too seriously but wanted to be a comedy. You know what I mean?
I mean, I think that's that too. I wish. We
can start singing because they sing a lot.
Wish upon a star. It feels to me like, God help me, this is almost an inside baseball indulgent. I could see that there's almost an art project here. It's absurd for me to say, but it combines so many nonsense genres that had it fallen into the right directing hands, it may have worked. Because it's so absurd. Nothing lines up. Because again, if it was Frank Drebin of Police Squad doing this, and I say very specifically that version of him because he did some movies that are bad. Spy Hard is a perfect example. And it has a Weird Al theme. You're introduced a smash cut cold open of a naked Weird Al swimming and doing Spy Hard, the theme song. But it falls apart.
It makes sense.
Right? It's just, or what's his name? Mafia. Jay Moore did a movie called Mafia, which
I
is
saw
just.
that.
I saw it too. It's awful, but it's just this idea screams of that. The difference between all of those movies though and this is a $75 million budget, and I don't know where it went. The cast is great, but 75 fucking million.
I heard that they had to that they had to extend their shoots repeatedly because in Italy no one wanted to work after 5 o'clock.
I could see that. Yeah.
And
very
Bruce
short.
Willis kept coming with new ideas. They kept having to reshoot things.
Yeah.
So basically, Nick's saying if this was Andy Warhol's Hudson Hawk, it would be the greatest movie in history.
Could you imagine?
I imagine it'd be 8 hours long, and it would be like 4 hours of just Bruce Willis looking at the camera.
Okay. Well. Okay. I think I have it.
Can we go ahead and talk about the most emotionally destructing part of this movie?
What's up?
The death of Pokey. You guys remember Pokey, right? Yes, Pokey the elephant, the stuffed animal that Hudson steals to try and test out the...
I fixed the movie, and you can shut your whore mouth. Throw out Hudson Hawk. Throw out Danny Aiello. This is the sequel to Black Dynamite, where they have to infiltrate the Vatican. And so instead, they're singing from Mothership Connection, and George Clinton is part of their crew. Then you have a movie. Because then it's funny, then it's set in the 70s instead of contemporary, and it's a bunch of honky nonsense. Because that's what this movie is. It's already honky nonsense. And in the first one, they beat up Richard Nixon with nunchucks. So in this one, if they fought the freak in a Pope,
I need to see, what's that movie?
Black Dynamite?
I've not seen Black Dynamite. You have
After
it?
we're recording, we're watching Black Dynamite.
I'm cool with that.
Cream cone. I'm sorry. We're done. I can't even. Well, I kicked in my hand.
Let's finish this.
All right, so we're done with this movie.
Okay, no, we're kidding. We at least have to go to the scene. Okay, so the heist of I don't want you. What do they call it?
The Codex.
The Codex, basically. So
yeah. So in the basement of the Vatican. And again, all this stuff screams to Dan Brown, holy blood, holy oil. Like this, like the Vatican has conspiracies involved because they have all the knowledge of the world, which is like, I'm sure the Vatican archive is just 6,000 years of pornography they've collected, and also like
and water damage, mold. Just no. It's not the Kremlin.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying?
But in the base, but I love this idea that you descend like a curvy staircase, like you're in Hogwarts or some shit, and there's just like, this is Da Vinci's notebook. Literally, it's just like a sketch pad of Da Vinci, and there's like crude drawings and shit. And so, as you said, there's the death of Pokey. He's a little elephant from the most terrifying child I've ever seen in a film. She looks like she's a 35-year-old woman, but she's like 3.5 feet tall.
See, I was emotionally invested in Pokey. That's the one thing about this movie that I liked was I wanted to make sure Pokey was okay. Because there's that scene after what happens, which is Bruce Willis uses Pokey to test out the security system, and there's that giant cage that collapses on the Codex, and then...
and some gas that comes out too. What's
some knockout gas that comes, and then everyone's running out, and the little girl's going, "Pokey, come back!"
So Bruce Willis, sick of this weird girl who's creeping everyone out, chucks Pokey the elephant at the. It's
a cage.
It's a museum. Yeah, it's a museum. Like plexiglass case around this damn thing. And the wall turns down and floods with what I can only assume is death gas. Because it's dyed green, and if movies have taught me anything, that is literally the secret of the ooze.
Speaking of Tim Burton, green gas, not good.
That's right.
Totally.
Green gas worse than boiling acid.
Boiling acid!
Oh no! Who?
You've driven into Schumacher Town.
I know.
I don't know if I can condone.
No.
Oh no! It's boiling acid. And that is like, can you literally shut up here?
Now I'm thinking of Val Kilmer.
How do you hire Newman's non-union Mexican equivalent?
Oh, could you imagine if it was actually Newman? But I think Newman commanded a pretty penny at that point because that's what, 2 years after Jurassic Park.
It was 2 years after Jurassic Park, and it was. When Seinfeld was on, it's like, I won't get stuck in boiling acid for less than 10 mil.
Oh my God, could you imagine? But again, I was watching baseball today. I went to a po' boy shop, and there's a Mets game on, and Seinfeld was at the Mets game. I'm like, billionaires. Isn't it nice to...
you often tell when we recorded this, the mother who played Seinfeld's
she died today.
She was 93. Wow, full
well,
life.
You know what? Again, R.I.P., but She did it.
She did it. She did it. That's the only thing that they had to say. The person who played Jerry Seinfeld's mother. But,
also, you're a little bit young for this, Nora.
Okay.
Being in your 30s now.
I'm 29.
Oh, so close.
But my knees hurt like I'm 50.
You know what?
Yeah.
It only gets worse. She was also the mom from Alf, if I recall correctly.
Alf terrified me, so I never watched it.
You're fine.
Yeah.
But it's terrifying.
Did she come back in Pog form?
Could you imagine? If there was a Pog of Estelle Seinfeld, I want it yesterday. And there's just a picture of the bed. Ooh, Pogs! You want to talk about a waste of my parents' money?
I haven't heard Pogs in a long, long time.
No, what are Pogs?
So Pogs were cardboard.
Wait. Let's stop right here. This gentleman is asking what are Pogs.
God damn it! I generally don't know a lot of things.
God damn it! You get off my lawn, young man.
Okay.
And stop skateboarding on the goddamn sidewalk.
Okay, so
Pogs.
Let me tell you something about the 90s.
Alright.
The 90s thought that the 70s were cool, and the 70s thought that the 50s were cool, right? You with me so far? Just like now in 2020, we think that early 2000s is cool, and early 2000s thought the 80s was cool.
Okay, I can see that.
Okay, so in the 50s, you would get milk,
Okay.
you would peel off the label, and you'd get a little cardboard cap. And the cardboard cap was something kids would play a game with, where you would stack them up, you'd get a heavy one made out of metal, and you try to flip them. And the more you flipped, you got them, kind of like playing jacks.
Right.
That sounds like a game that should exist in 1950s, because that was before Joy or video games.
Yeah.
Okay.
Some dust bullshit. Okay.
In the 90s, they brought them back, but in order to sell them to people our age, since milk caps are plastic now,
Right.
they put characters on them like Alf, The Simpsons, baseball players, footballers,
So whatever
Beavis
was
and
popular,
Butthead.
anything pop related to that.
aimed at kids between the ages of, let's say, 12 and 17, which means they were actually played by kids who were 9 to 14 because they were interested in the things their older brother watched.
Okay.
And then you'd get the heavy ones called slammers, made out of thicker plastic, and they were shiny. And so you would slam down, and they would flip, and you would store them in something that looked like an M&M mini canister. And that was the game that we all invested. It's like when people invested in Magic cards in the 90s, and now all of a sudden they're worth hundreds of dollars now because millennials got bored during COVID. It's that. It's exactly that. Nostalgia becomes expensive when people get depressed, and sometimes Xanax doesn't do it.
Thank God for the internet. If the internet wasn't invented, or just, I don't know, technology or TV. Oh, TV obviously was invented.
But like, even you're getting it.
Yeah.
Because now shows that were canceled in your youth are getting a
Getting a
Hulu
reboot.
version now,
That's true.
right?
That's
like,
true.
Because people are like, I need that fix of something.
Yeah. They like lazy consistency. That's why the Kardashians came back.
Like the Vatican.
Like the Vatican.
So,
Well, I'll just say, I saw him last year. Maurice LaMarche from Animaniacs is a very nice man.
yes.
And we are at the point where Hawk has stolen the Codex.
Oh, I forgot we're talking about this movie. Yeah.
Yes, we are talking about this
I'm talking
movie.
about everything but the movie.
Very
Something's
common.
gone wrong.
Yeah, no. But no, it just speaks to the actual movie itself and how it was just, So yes,
What you mean is that it's a real think piece that's keeping us.
from actually talking about it, yeah. But no, actually, if anyone would like to talk about the first heist, that's actually a pretty cool heist. Because it has the theme of the song of the movie, which was, what was it? Wish Upon a Star? No, it's a Disney movie. No, Disney song.
It's the song that the Far Side reference with the guy with the pig head going, well, I wasn't sure I wanted to catch moonbeams in a jar.
Yes. Which is it's something people can relate to if they're exactly our age. It's called Swinging on a Star. There's also Side by Side, which we get later. Sing on a Star is a Bing Crosby kind of song. And then Side by Side is a Harry Wood song, I think. But yeah. So they're singing American standards. They're not singing... although you would have talked about a tragedy. The theme song that was playing over the credits is Dr. John.
Oh,
we have like legit like blues, like jazz guy, like he played funk, he's backed up bands for the last 60 years. The man's a masterpiece.
I think.
Yeah, he wasn't. He passed away a couple of years ago, I think.
Last year, 2019.
Yeah.
Well, we didn't talk about this, but actually, Bruce Willis actually has a musical background. You know,
We don't talk about Bruno.
We don't talk about.
We don't talk about Bruno.
I hate that movie. Anyways,
You're fine.
no, I think he had a lot to do with influences of the music in the song because it kind of related to like what because he was in his own funk, jazz, harmonica band, if I'm not mistaken. Bruce
Okay,
Willis was.
so I'm going to ask you a question there, Boyo.
Okay.
Would you rather see the band of, let's see, Keanu Reeves is Dog Star, right?
Right.
Johnny Depp is also a bassist.
Okay.
There's this. Who else has a terrible band?
Jared Leto's got 30 Seconds to
It
Mars.
might be the most
Is that not
successful.
terrible? Yeah.
That might be the most successful.
Of rock
David
bands.
Duchovny has a band.
Mm.
I mean, there's a lot of mediocre white guys in bands.
Hugh Lauren plays the piano. The guy from House.
But you just reminded me of the answer.
What's up?
I would go to a jazz bar right now and
Right.
listen to Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
Could
yeah.
you imagine?
No,
could
yeah.
you imagine like an old fashioned,
Right.
and listen to him just like, so I'm this song was made famous by Ella Fitzgerald. Now, I'm not gonna do the singing, but I'm gonna play the tune because
I would watch that. I would
I'm there yesterday.
Yeah.
I am somewhere in the West Village right now.
Yeah.
Sipping a cocktail made by mine with almost 2 mustaches. It's so
Almost.
elegant. It's almost a second mustache. Listening to Jeff.
Did we
I
mention
would.
there's a gag in this movie about the Pope watching Mr. Ed dubbed into Italian?
Yes. Do it. Tell us a joke.
Well, I mean, it happens when Hudson Hawk's escaping with the Codex, and then he goes on the roof and hits a TV antenna, and the Pope is watching Mr. Ed. And the reception gets bad, so the Pope gets up and starts hitting the TV.
Oh, the 80s.
Such a humble,
the 90s.
Such a humble man. He does not have cable, despite living in an art museum.
That's true. That is true. The millions
The
of
Vatican's
billions of
a
dollars.
little bit more than an art museum.
Yeah.
Just saying.
It's a church.
Also,
It's
the
a
head of the Catholic Church.
It's
Kind
also
of.
yeah. It's also the thing where the Da Vinci Code thing happened. Yeah. Anywho,
But again, if they made this movie, what was that first one? Let's say 8 years later, if he ran into Tom Hanks in the basement of the Vatican. But again, it's
You know-
stupid, but
you know-
that's a joke.
you know what would have been funny if Bruce Willis actually made a cameo in the Da Vinci Code in the basement. He
Why
was
not?
like, hey,
Those are Ron Howard movies that are like they. If pastel could be if beige could be a movie, that's a Ron Howard movie.
yeah.
Bruce Willis, that's a highlight wall. That's an accent wall in the beige that is a Ron Howard
Well,
movie.
the Da Vinci Code sucked.
Well, okay,
Just the novel sucked. I haven't seen the movie,
You
but
haven't seen the movie? Oh,
I
man, you
saw
gotta see the movie.
I've seen both. I've also read Angels and Demon. I will disagree with you that it sucks. I will just say it is an airplane movie. You
True.
read it because it moves. You can follow it. You can have a couple drinks. You can fall asleep, and you can pick it back up because it's not a tricky
you know,
movie.
when you said that, my first thought was an airplane movie. What's that? Well, it's a movie that they screen on airplanes while they're traveling abroad, but that's not important right now.
But if you I won't get into this now. But if you depict the Da Vinci Code and actually just try to, it takes them 3 hours to figure out what the fuck an apple is. Just saying. No, we can talk about that.
I will say, if you like Da Vinci Code, which fine,
It's nice.
National Treasure is the better version of it because it's
Absolutely.
Nick Cage. It's quick cuts and he's like, the dollar bill's trying to tell me something, and you're just like,
steal the Declaration of
it is all back in the-
At that point, when he was deep in debt to the IRS, that wasn't acting. The dollar bill is trying to tell me something.
I'm fucked.
All right, so
But that's a turtle top. You
So,
got a
let me
turtle
ask this.
top.
Would you
there.
rather watch Hudson Hawk or what is it? Split, the one where he actually you know what I'm talking about? The one where the Mr. Glass
James McAvoy has multiple personalities, one
Right,
of which
right.
is the Hulk.
basically it was like their Avengers movie of all of the what was the movie that Bruce
The
Willis
twist
was in?
is that I'm in it.
when you twist.
Oh, the M. Night Shyamalan movies that he
It's
did.
M. Night
So
Shyamalan, it's Twist, it's Unbreakable, and I forget what the third one is. Glass.
Glass.
Yes. I like that trilogy of movies. They're not good all the way through in all that way, but Unbreakable actually is an excellent Bruce Willis movie.
Okay.
It is. Unbreakable is. I just haven't seen any of those movies that you're talking about because
Split. Watch Split.
All right.
Split's a good movie.
Is that the second one or is that the last one?
That was the second to last one before they tied everything together.
Glass was the last
Glass was the last one. Yeah.
And again, you know who's really good in that? Samuel L. Jackson.
He is.
Samuel, man. But
These are the 70s.
The difference with Bruce Willis, Samuel L. Jackson, and Nick Cage, very similar, at least in their work ethic. But the difference is Samuel L. Jackson and Nick Cage bring it.
Yeah.
Nick Cage will be your nut job in your movie, but he will be the nut job in your movie.
He's the only reason why I know the alphabet.
Willis, unfortunately, when he doesn't care, you can tell he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And that to me is the difference.
So speaking of this movie, after Willis steals the Codex and then he goes to a dinner with McDowell where he orders a bottle of ketchup, which pisses off the waiter.
We have to also explain he gets that after he's stolen the Codex.
Yes.
So he's stealing the Codex, he jumps from building to building, lands in a truck, falls out of the truck at exactly the restaurant.
And who's the mook that's trying to order the steak burger and french fries?
The big blonde guy.
His name is Andrew Brynoski. His name is Butterfingers, basically.
Yeah, this is
Butterfinger.
Butterfinger. He's one of the four mafiosi, or four CIA guys.
Who later refers to James Coburn as Coach.
So, hey, Coach, can't go. But actually, I think he's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre dude.
He is.
Wait, what?
He's also. I'm assuming. I'm just reading the things that he's part of. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. He was in Batman Returns. So I think he was that big ass dude that he just kicks him off the ledge. Any Given Sunday, where we're just talking about that.
Yeah.
And I want to say, he was in Street Fighter.
Yes, he is Zangief. In Texas Chainsaw, he's in the crappy one, The Beginning. He's in Texas Chainsaw, The Beginning.
The Return. No, he's in both.
Oh, is he in the other one
Yeah,
too?
he's in both. I think he plays
Leatherface?
In the 2003 one.
Yeah, 2003 and 2006.
Oh.
He's also in previous episodes Scooby-Doo as one of the henchmen. He's also in Punchline movie Pearl Harbor as Joe the Boxer.
You know what? Fuck this guy.
Oh, he's in Rollerball, my favorite.
No,
movie.
not wait.
Not-
The 2002 one?
Yeah, with the LL Cool J and
Again, fuck this guy.
He's also in Batman Returns as the heavy, the guy who's aside. The guy, I'm going to help you run for mayor. Christopher Walken is going to help you. He's Chip. He's one of them.
Oh, he's
son.
Christopher Walken's son, yeah.
Yeah. But Hudson Hawk is his first movie, real movie, with a name. If you're talking, what is his name? That's gone. But yeah, he's the first. This is his first named role.
Gotcha.
And we find out that he's Butterfinger because he steps out of a porta-john. He gets his jacket stuck in it, and then it falls on top of him, which means I think you have to
they
burn
call
him.
me Butterfingers. The way he's introduced is
They call me
there's
Butterfinger.
also a scene
No
where
kidding.
he's like, no shit.
there's also a scene where he's waiting with the rest of the mooks, and they're like, Butterfinger, just focus on your book, and it's green eggs and ham.
Yeah. Yo, we gotta talk about the highway scene. If
Please,
anything else.
Do it.
All right. So basically, after he has stolen the Rolodex thing,
The Codex.
The Codex. It goes
Da
into.
Vinci's
I think we need to go back a bit. The first job he's blackmailed into is stealing the horse,
That's true.
and he's chased by the Mario brothers.
Yes.
And then there's an auction that he goes to.
Okay, we're just giving so many things, but the who's the fucking butler that has the fucking knives coming out of his
Oh,
hands?
Tesla Bowie's what I called him.
Tesla Bowie. Okay.
Because he looked exactly like Bowie does when he was playing Nikolai Tesla in The Prestige.
Okay.
That's a movie we've got to talk about. This is such a fucking strange Nolan movie.
No. All right, so continue, Matt. What you got?
Okay, so the Mario brothers are chasing after him to kill him for some reason. I can't even remember. And he's in the ambulance, and the Mario brothers are trying to kill him in the ambulance. He goes out the back of the ambulance on a gurney, and he's rolling down the highway, and they're chasing him in the ambulance. And he goes into a toll booth, and he has exact change. It happens to throw in at just the right moment.
Yeah.
And for a dude who's a career criminal, he seems very lawful about that.
That's true. I mean,
Well,
I'm
that
trying
became
to go
honest people.
straight.
yeah.
That became a
that's true.
plot point in the third Die Hard movie about having exact change for a toll.
Oh.
And then
I see.
the ambulance hits something and just explodes, and that's the end of the Mario brothers.
Would you say this is a cursed movie for Danny Aiello? Because this is like a perfect because the year before he was nominated for the Academy Award for Do the Right Thing.
Oh.
It's always classic when someone gets nominated or wins an Academy Award that they do a string of crap because they're a big name, so they can suddenly demand a lot of money. And I like Danny Aiello a lot, but like this movie, he's got nothing to do other than pretend he can sing, and of course it's all the kind of crap he would play in a stereotypical Italian restaurant because it's Danny Aiello and that's what he's got.
We forget James Coburn's in this movie.
Yeah,
we've mentioned him.
He's the toothy head of the CIA.
Which there's maybe 2 movies I've seen him in for like that I can recollect. Sister Act 2.
Yep, he's in that.
And this one.
Well, the thing about him too is he's just talking about how when we were killing communists, I was getting laid every night. God, I miss communism. You're just like. This is not.
That's the Naked Gun shit. That's
Right.
the shit that they tried. Like they tried really hard to make this a serious slapstick comedy.
Well, the thing about it too is that like when he says that, Butterfingers looks like he's trying to take a giant shit in his pants. Almond Joy, who's the one woman on this, and she's like
Chlamydia.
this tall, statuesque, like black woman. Gives him a nod like, yeah, you got laid. And you're just like, who is this for? Like, the one thing I never want to hear about is my coworkers having sex.
What's that one movie? It had it had Emilio Estevez, and it was basically like it was a spoof movie of the cop movies, essentially.
Loaded Weapon.
Loaded
He's like
Weapon
a Terminator or something.
Beautiful movie.
Basically,
I
yeah.
love it. I love that movie.
I much rather watch that, even though it's not talked about a lot.
Yes.
It's just so much, but that did it right.
This movie reminds me so much of that 70s movie called The In-Laws.
It does. I mean,
Except The In-Laws was funny.
Yeah.
This
But
movie,
the whole progressively madcap international crime shenanigans reminds me of The In-Laws.
we could even talk about. It's not a good movie. I saw it on a bad date, and it was because people wanted to sneak in to watch Aliens Resurrection.
Oh boy.
And I was like, actually, I could have enjoyed this movie, but it was bad. It was The Man Who Knew Too Little, the Bill Murray movie.
I'm just wondering who wanted to sneak into Alien Resurrection.
I probably would have.
Oh, I mean, it was. I went on a date when I was in like 10th grade or something. So
Nick was trying
Nick
to win a young woman's heart with Dr. Deviantart and Alien Resurrection.
no, I was trying to watch a Bill Murray movie. They wanted to go see that. It was a very strange date. That I can't believe I remember that just now.
Can we go ahead and skip ahead to this movie?
Yeah.
I mean, Willis steals the Codex. There's that
Right.
little gem that's in it that the Mayflowers cut out.
Right.
And the last piece is in the helicopter model that's at the Louvre,
Right.
which Coburn steals because they fake a terrorist attack and kill some security guards.
That's not racist. Is it? I don't know. I'm just right. Anyways, keep going.
I don't know what's there beyond that. I mean,
And
at
they
this
at one
point...
point get paralyzed and it's played for laughs.
Oh, yeah, because what's her name? Not Chlamydia, but
Almond Joy.
Shoots them with darts.
That's right.
And he blows it back at her.
Eventually, yes.
She blows it back.
She definitely
She blows it back.
She definitely swallows. She doesn't spit.
Yes. Let's wrap it up.
And
So what ends up happening, Daniel? Matt?
Oh boy, there's a lot that happens in this movie.
I'm talking about the end.
The very end.
The very end.
Go ahead.
they get Andy McDowell gets kidnapped because they're hiding at her. Hudson and his buddy are hiding out at her apartment in Italy, and she's going to get them breakfast or something. And she shows up just, and the CIA agents have paralyzed the two of them, and she gets kidnapped. And
She eventually decides she needs to speak to the dolphins in the next scene.
yeah, she spends a whole. I'm not sure if she's actually pretending or she's just high on the paralysis drugs.
I think she was just maybe.
Maybe she's just trying to drag things out so Hudson and his friend can show up, and they show up with a rocket launcher with unlimited ammunition.
That's
Well,
what's up.
and just since we're here, There is some weird body horror stuff. When he's in the back of the ambulance, he throws like a fistful of syringes into this guy's face.
Oh yeah.
And he pops in like, "We gotta get him!" And it's just hanging out from his face.
And everyone is screaming, as you would, because it's horrifying.
If anything, just watch the highway scene. That's
Probably
what I
on
suggest.
YouTube.
Yeah, it's
Well,
probably
but that is a naked gun scene, if I recall, and maybe I'm wrong. But there's a scene when they've got O.J. Simpson, who's been shot 30 times, and he falls out of the back of the ambulance and is falling down the road. Like, because that's what it should be.
I believe you're right. That's in the first one.
I love the
And
yeah, he was going down the road with a Bronco.
I mean,
That was quite a different quote unquote movie.
Was that a different movie?
Yeah.
All right, my bad.
I
Reference
can't
to.
believe they bought back the Bronco.
I know, but it's not a good. I mean, they. Yeah, I do and I don't. Is this going to the whole nostalgia thing? It's like, guys, remember the '90s? But like, first of all, it's an ugly car. I'd much rather have the OJ car than the actual.
Where's the advertising campaign good enough to die for?
Go for
Have OJ advertise it.
Hello, everybody. This car's a steal.
Oh boy.
It's allegedly 50 grand.
If I stole it, this is how I would have stole it.
This is how I would have stolen. My God.
You know what? I'd stab somebody to get my hands on this car.
Let's go for this car.
This car ain't black. It's OJ.
Please note, allegedly.
Allegedly.
And meanwhile, they try and break into the castle, and Bruce Willis fights Tom Coburn. It's full Looney Tunes.
We should mention what the castle is. The Mayflowers, which is Richard E. Grant and his sister wife.
Sister wife.
I mean,
sister wife.
kind of.
It's never established, so we can just assume.
They're trying to recreate the gold machine that Da Vinci made.
Because they
and,
never kissed.
It's,
I don't think they ever kissed in the movie.
They didn't.
They
just
didn't.
got weird.
It just got weird.
It's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The gold machine, yeah.
and I mean, from there, I don't know. With Coburn, they're supposed to be working together along with Danny Aiello, but everyone's betraying everyone. So Aiello's actually still with Hudson Hawk, and then the Mayflowers and James Coburn are still working together, but the Mayflowers end up betraying everyone and shooting all the mooks, including Butterfinger, with a crossbow.
Yeah, and at this point, like Tommy is killed when Kaplan blows up the limo as it speeds over a cliff.
Yep.
Oh, that's
As Nick
yeah.
would put it, he's super dead.
Yeah, they super kill him. He's super dead. There's nothing left. And at this point, they're trying to get him to assemble the crystals one last time to make sure it works, because apparently, as a cat burglar, he's a genius.
What was the song that Aiello and Willis are singing as they're going on this bombing rampage?
Springtime for Hitler.
Better movie.
I think it's Side by Side.
You're right, it is.
Damn,
Ain't got a barrel of money. Blam!
Those bazookas were dope.
But I mean, like, we also have to mention that the music stuff is ridiculous. They're like, as they're preparing for their mission and catching up on shit, they're just listing song titles and how long they go. Because the idea is that they sing them so perfectly, rather than having to wear watches, they can just do them.
Sing it a song. Yeah.
Side by side.
Yeah.
Which is also previous episode. How the riches open up their
I said Home Alone, my bad. Wrong Macaulay Culkin movie.
But you were there.
Yeah, I was there. Right, kid.
Thank you, Beavis and Butthead.
Yep,
Which is
yep.
the stupidest line in that movie. Oh, I know that movie.
What's
anyway.
a Nintendo? I remember that too, yeah.
The machine is activated, but since the crystals are wrong, everything explodes, killing the Mayflowers.
Because Willis assembles the crystal wrong.
And
he
right.
deliberately leaves something off.
Leave that a piece, right?
And they have to fight the battle butler.
Alfred.
Yeah,
Alfred.
And the dog gets chucked out a window, and it's hilarious.
Hey, dog, ball. That's That to me was the funniest part of that whole. Not the explosions. Not a homeboy getting shot in the arrow. Is when he fucking got a tennis ball machine and shot the dog.
Yeah.
And it went out the window of the Mayflower.
That's practically it's something about Mary bit. Like,
Yes.
That is another slapstick stupid comedy. I miss movies like that.
Yeah,
Everything we're mentioning is more than 20 years old.
It's true.
Except for Black Dynamite, which stay tuned.
Well,
Dynamite.
in a few years, Netflix movies will hit the 10 years old limit, and then we can do Netflix movies because that's where all the comedies end up.
Matt, I don't like your math there.
What
That was unnecessary.
honestly, what was the last good spoof slapstick comedy movie like that we can recollect, even within the past 5 years or so?
Walk
5 years?
Hard.
What's up?
Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story.
That was early 2000. Okay, early
was
2000s.
2000s.
I really like the MacGruber movie.
Black Dynamite, when was that?
The show is much better.
The show's good too.
Yeah.
No, I mean, no complaints.
Yeah.
But you said movies, so I'm just saying.
That's true.
movies.
That's true.
Black Dynamite at this point, I think, is 13 years old.
Right. I mean, the last scary movie to me that was pretty. Would have been
was
scary.
okay.
Scary movie 3, but well, it was 2. But after the
Well, the
Wayans
problem
brothers,
is some of those are older than you realize.
well, I know the first one came in 1990 or 2000s. And
No,
stuff.
it was 1998.
19
Yeah,
oh, for
first
real?
one
Because
came
I
out.
saw the third one when I was in college, and that was done by 2003. So
Right.
Oh yeah, I saw the third one in theaters back in the day with Leslie Nielsen as the president.
Well, it's just a shame that, like,
Oh,
I mean, like, just slapstick physical comedy is just something that, like, remember they tried to redo a ski movie, like, Out Cold, when we were in high school? Like, that was 99,
Zach
2000.
Galifianakis? Yeah, I
Zach
remember that.
Galifianakis.
Well, I think The Campaign has some slapsticky bits.
The Campaign is very funny.
Campaign is funny. Okay.
I mean, it's got that whole snake handling sequence.
My
Baby punching
favorite
scene.
is when the parents are arguing, they tell their kids to put on their earphones, and they're just listening to a song that's called Ass and Titties.
Ass and Titties.
Ass and titty,
Oh my
titties.
God,
Ass and titties.
That dinner scene, actually, no, the other dinner scene where he's like, "Oh, now kids, we're gonna be in politics, so everything out in the open," and the kids just seeing.
They start, oh my god, their improvisation.
That was improv with the kids.
I don't know if it was or not. It just felt like they were just coming up with things.
Yeah.
Because, like, the first thing was, like, very, like...
That was. How long ago was that? That was 2008. Like,
It was a presidential election series, so maybe 08.
right? It's 2022.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
I'm just saying, I mean...
Fuck Netflix.
They don't do spoofs anymore.
No, they don't.
I will say there was a movie a few years ago called Game Night, which I thought was pretty funny.
Jason
Jason
Bateman,
Bateman.
yeah.
What was the one with Queen Latifah? Was that Girls Night?
Girls Trip.
Girls Trip
Yeah.
was very funny. Bridesmaid is very funny.
Bridesmaid was good too. Okay, but that was 2010.
I mean, but those are also older than you think.
Yeah, older than you think. Yeah, that was I was in high school when Bridesmaids came out.
But like the thing is, a good spoof movie has almost no. It doesn't have a plot, but it does have a plot. Like it sticks to rules, but it's a way to make jokes. And I'm sorry, they want things to have emotional impact, which you don't need.
Yeah.
I don't need to feel like Frank Drebin's a hero at the end. I don't need to feel like at the first scary movie that anyone wins. It's just a fucking comedy.
Yeah. But we do care about Hudson Hawk because the cappuccino.
He gets his fucking
He
cappuccino.
finally
The
gets a
last shot is him drinking that cappuccino.
He gets a cappuccino. First, the one he had in the car, it's spilt. And then he has one that's getting shot at. Then he gets not cyanide. He would die with cyanide. He got roofied in one, and then finally he gets his cappuccino, and that's the still scene at the end of the movie.
The book, can you imagine?
Yeah,
the
the Hudson Hawk.
novelization of Hudson Hawk.
I'm pretty sure there is a novelization.
I'm sure there is.
Or just
Someone needed to make $4.
yeah, or just if I can hear. So like I remember, the TBS, they would have channels for people who were. They would describe it for people who are visually impaired.
Right.
I want to see this movie described for the visually impaired people, just to be like, what the fuck is going on? You know?
Is that supposed to be... Is a pizza being delivered? Because if it is, I'm walking out of it.
Boy.
Wait, legit?
Could you imagine?
Or the pizza got delivered at the store?
No.
Or in the movie?
In the movie.
Sorry,
Because he was a Ninja Turtle and we just had to...
Listen, it's actually time for
Leonardo da
me.
Vinci was totally tubular.
Actually, it's actually time for me to eat. So you mentioned pizza, so I'm very hungry right now.
I'll tell you what. With Nor's tumbly rumbly.
Tumbly, rumbly, Ramadan stomach.
So
No, you know what, buddy?
it's a happy ending. The
It is a
CIA
happy
is
ending.
dead. The Mayflowers die after Hudson Hawk screws up the machine. The dog's dead, and he and Andy McDowell end up together. And
Even though she's apparently a nun.
apparently,
You can leave the nun.
Can you?
Of course, why not? What are they gonna do? Come after you?
I thought so. They have so the Amish and the Catholic Church priesthood nunhood have the same rules to a T. No, they just got Rumspringer. Okay, never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about.
You're allowed to leave the priesthood.
Oh, okay.
You're allowed. I mean, it's not like they're like, good on you, but
I've actually never met anyone that's
I'm
executed.
35 and I've never been with a woman. Let's see how this goes. Whee! I'm no longer a priest. You can call me Mr. Dan.
I've actually never met anyone that's excommunicated, so that's probably.
We're not talking excommunication. That's a whole other thing. Then you're kicked out of the faith.
So hold on. So you wouldn't be excommunicated if you decide not to be a nun or a priest, or they just be like,
No, because for them it's a calling, and if you're no longer called, you can just go. It's like changing jobs. The difference is, like communism, the church provides for everything for you. Food, car. And so you're just on your own. You're just a guy with a degree that doesn't matter. Could you imagine going through college with a degree that doesn't matter?
What do you do
what
with
do
a BA in English?
BA in theology. Now, at least if you're like a Jesuit, you have a doctorate. But we have someone who just left, and they're like, I'm going to go out on the town. I'm like, you are so sad. Anyway. Nor, final thoughts, buddy.
you know what? I can honestly watch this movie like multiple times and not get bored of it because everything doesn't make sense because it's hilarious. You know, yeah, it's a terrible movie, but at the same time, I could watch this over and over again. But it's not good. But I can watch it over and over again.
it's a very unique movie. It's not good. It's actually quite bad, but it's not bad because they tried to plug everything into a template and just failed. They were trying to create a new template and it still didn't work. So it's one of those weird things where on the one hand I want to praise it for trying to do something relatively new, but on the other hand they just didn't do it well. Yeah, this is a Bruce Willis passion project through and through, and you can tell that one superstar was trying to dictate everything that happened in this movie, and that's what makes it not work.
I went in probably thinking it would be worse than it turned out to be, so I guess maybe go in with very low expectations and you might enjoy it, but at this point, just go see The In-Laws. It's from the 1970s. It's a much better movie. Or even Loaded Weapon.
Serpentine Shell?
I mean, we mentioned a lot of actual slapstick parody movies, you know, black comedies, things that are just absurd. If you want that, watch that. I've never seen anything like this. Everything about it seems like a bad decision, but I'm with Nor. This is kind of compelling, right? Like, because again, it swings big. Like, this is like, I'm going for the fading shot every time. I'm going for a pinwheel dunk. I'm going to hit the grand slam on the first pitch.
Yeah.
And it swings and it misses, but it is spectacular.
Yeah.
I kind of think this movie is, I don't want to say genius, but someone had a really good idea, they carried it out, and then it was every misfire, and then somehow still came together. I've never seen anything like this. So I'm going to say, even if none of my colleagues are going to fully recommend it other than maybe Nora, it's kind of a seeing is believing. Because you're never going to see anything like this again. Because the cast across the board is impressive people. It's just a bizarre movie. So, anyway, thanks for listening, subscribing, reviewing, sharing, all those things. We are rapidly approaching the end of the season, which means now is the time, if you really want us to do something, pepper us with emails. Let us know, because we're going to start scheduling this summer for the whole next season. And if you haven't noticed, this movie is on Netflix. We are trying to make a real effort to do movies that are on a streaming service so you can watch along with us. We might pick something eclectic and fun just for the novelty, but the last few months we've made that effort, and next season we're going to continue to make the effort because I know some of you who reach out say, I wish I could watch these with you. We've been really bad at scheduling order, so sometimes it will still be a surprise what comes out. But I'll do my best to let you guys know in advance what's coming out so that you can be a part of it with us. Otherwise, thanks guys for listening.
Myopia Movies is produced by Nick Hoffman and Daniel Settis. It is hosted by Nick Hoffman and Daniel Settis. Mission Briefing is hosted by John Copsey. Podcasts are edited by Daniel Settis, and Patreon is edited by Nick Hoffman. Our engineer is Nick Hoffman. The theme song is Surf Shimmy by Kevin MacLeod from Incomptech.com. Licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license.